Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jake of J&J Retro Gaming, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite horror films that I currently own right now. These have to be films that I can basically show you the box art for. I will have honorable mentions as well, but unfortunately I don't own all the horror films I really do want to own right now. I do have a huge collection of them. Some of them are shit, some of them are fantastic. So yeah, let's get underway with this. So these are the horror films that I love that I currently own. So we're going to start right now with my all-time favorite, and I own it in a huge box set. That is the Alien Quadrology, and I love all of the Alien films. I always have. This set was actually only $20 on sale. I bought a long time ago. It has an amazing amount of discs. I think it has about 8 discs in it, which is all the special features as well. So it's really, really cool. So, I bought it quite a long time ago, and it has always been my favorite series of films, of horror films. And I remember watching the entire series one Halloween, and I could not sleep for a long time. It was back when I think I was about 12 or 13 years old. I watched the entire quadrology, and it scared the crap out of me. Like, I could not sleep for quite a while. I had sleeping problems, and for some reason I was so afraid of horror films that I could not watch them for a while. And I guess 4 years ago, I was able to finally pick up on horror movies again and really get back into it. And that was mostly thanks to the Predator franchise as well, which I also love. And one film also I really do like, but a lot of people really hate, is Alien vs. Predator. I really do love the first film. I thought it was a really cool idea. Sure, it wasn't R-rated, and sure, it was not, I guess, as scary, but it was a really cool action film, and the action sequences in it were so cool that I don't think I'll ever forget them. Like, they were top of the notch, just an amazing cinematic experience. So I know a lot of people were let down that it wasn't as horror-filled or as scary, but look at AVPR when they tried to do that. That didn't work out as well either, did it? And that went back to the R-rated roots. And I didn't really like that film as much. It was still fun. I don't hate it, but I think it's an okay film, but it's not one of my favorites. AVP1 will always be one of my favorite films, and I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but I really do think it's a pretty cool film. So my next couple of films here are A Nightmare on Elm Street. I really do love these films as well. They are some of my favorite, and I think they're actually some of the most unique films, slasher films, because I know these were in during the pride years of slasher, the slasher genre. So I thought they were really cool. I really love Freddy, and I thought it was a really fun series, and I thought Haunting the Nightmares was really cool. So yeah, that's another one, along with A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. This is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film, the third one, believe it or not. I thought the characters were really believable, and the idea of being a child and being very strong during your dreams was very cool, because again, at the time I was having trouble sleeping, and I was rewatching some of these horror films, and I really felt, I guess, empowered by these films. So it had quite a bit of an impact on me, actually. So again, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, one of my favorites horror films of all time. And I do, again, honorable mention to Freddy vs. Jason. I think that film does not get enough credit, and I love that film. The next one here is, I own this Greatest Classic Hits collection of horror films, and I know The Freaks was a really cool film, and it kind of creeped me out, but the real shout-out goes to House of Wax, which is Vincent Price, the original. I thought he was the greatest actor. He's my favorite actor of all time, and I'm trying to pick up all of his films, but he was such a fantastic actor in this film that, you know, it was really an actual inspiration. I actually wanted to become an actor after watching this film alone. And I think he was one of the coolest characters in this film, and I think he is one of the greatest actors in horror ever. I think he is my actual favorite actor of all time. I do have a lot of favorite actors, but it'd definitely be him. That is my favorite horror. My next one goes to Horror of Dracula, which is also a very cool film. I remember watching quite a few of these back, I guess back in the day. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. I remember actually watching this on one of my flip phones, flip phone movie cards that you could actually get. And it was one of the first horror movies as well. and I thought it was a really cool movie, and it had a lot of cool effects, and I understand at the time that was really huge. Continuing on the whole vampire, I guess, experience, The Lost Boys, which again was one of my first horror films I ever watched, and it was probably my favorite. I think it is still probably my favorite horror vampire movie, and I guess it really did stand out to me because of the whole teenage concept of it. And during the time period that I was a teenager, it was really cool to experience again. And I recently rewatched it, and I thought it still stood out to me as one of the greatest films that I had seen. And my next one here is Hellraiser 1. I do like the second Hellraiser, except the end of that movie. I think the ending should have been a little better. I think the Cenobites should have conquered in the ending, but the first one gets the one of my favorite of all time. I think it was such a cool movie because at the time I was really having a bloodlust, I guess, for horror films that really had a lot more gore in it, and I thought during some of the sequences in this it was really gory and really cool. So Clive Barker did a really good job, and I also remember picking up one of his games. It was called Jericho, and I know a lot of people really did dislike that game, but I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really cool, and I think it was just a fun little arcade shooter, arcade horror shooter. Actually, it wasn't really a survivalist one, but I think the that game was really cool. But Hellraiser, one of my favorites as well. The next one is, I guess, in my terms, it's newer. It's Saw 1. I think it was a really cool idea. I mean, I was a really big fan of Danny Glover after seeing him in Predator 2, and after seeing that, I was like, ooh, I got to pick out this film. You know, I've heard a lot about it being gory, but since he's an actor in it, I think I was thinking that it would be really fun to watch. I know they've made quite a few Saw movies now, and Saw 1 has been the only one that I've really loved, so that gets one of my favorites of all time. Now, the Blade trilogy. I do prefer the second one. I think the second one was definitely my favorite because I was a huge Ron Perlman fan, so I thought the second one was my favorite out of the entire Blade trilogy, and I thought the action sequences in the second one were the best. So I prefer, I guess, the second out of them all, and I think it was one of the rare sequels that I really did enjoy. So a film that not a lot of people mention as well here is Doctor Giggles. I thought this film, I guess, sticking to the whole teenage horror roots, where a bunch of teenagers do get killed, I thought it was a really cool film, and I thought the acting in it was really fun, and I like the whole evil doctor idea to it. A lot of the cinematic effects in it as well are very cool, and yeah, basically it was just a fun film to watch, and it was one of the films you can watch straight through because you want to know how it ends in the end. And this isn't a film a lot of people mention, but I really do enjoy it. Now, the next two are going to be Dawn of the Dead original and the Dawn of the Dead remake, both of which I do enjoy. I loved watching the remake just as much as I loved watching the original. I thought the remake was so well done that it was such. I think it's my favorite remake ever done, and the original was one of the first zombie films I ever saw. So I was really iffy seeing the remake, but I thought it was still really well done, and it definitely gets a big shout out there. George A. Romero, he's such a fantastic director and I guess writer as well. So it was really fantastic to see that he actually did do a whole bunch of these and is still doing them. I mean, Survival of the Dead just came out, and I really like Survival of the Dead 2, Diary of the Dead, of course, and I have never really hated one of his movies he's released. I know a lot of people don't like them as much as the originals, which is obvious, I guess, because a lot of people are like that, but I still really do like them. I'm not really picky when it comes to the whole horror movie section, so I thought they were really cool. So the next movie I want to choose is Halloween 1. I loved Halloween 4. I loved, and Halloween 3, which a lot of people really hate. I loved Halloween 3. It is one of my favorite Halloween films, it's called Season of the Witch, and it's the only film not to star Michael Myers in it, but it was, oh god, it was so well done. And I think that if people really gave it a chance and it didn't have the Halloween 3 tag to it, that it would have been a fantastic original horror film. Um, and I recently was able to meet John Carpenter, and you know what? I wish I could have said something about Halloween 3 to him. I wish he could have I guess. I wish he could have mentioned something about how he felt about it, but I really did enjoy that film. I thought the whole idea behind it was really, really different and really unique to the point of where it was a film that you don't usually see with children dying in it, and you don't really see that as much. And I just thought it was so well done, and I really give a props to everyone who was in that film because they do not get enough credit. So moving on, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake along with the original. I know the second one was kind of a joke film, but the original was a really big deal at the time, and I understand that. I really did like the remake. I haven't seen the beginning. I heard that film really sucked, but I know the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I really did enjoy this film. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people again really hated it and thought it was not that great, but again, I did enjoy it. I thought the acting in it was really well done, and the family wasn't as strong as the original was. I mean, with the grandfather in the original, that was really, really well done. But I guess I still really did enjoy this film. It's not as good as the original, of course, but it was still a well done film. And my all time favorite horror film is The Exorcist. And I know that a lot of people really did love this scene. There's been a lot of cases with it where I guess a lot of trivia with the whole film that a lot of people it really scared a lot of people in the movie theaters where people would leave back in that time and people would actually and I know started a law case with them because of all the I guess one guy passed out and he started a whole lawsuit and that got really famous. But this film, for what it was, it scared the shit out of me. It was so well done that even to this day, it is still a film that will stand out and it will still give you nightmares because everything in it is exactly what a horror film should be. And it's just so cool. I mean, the main character in it, along with even the little girl, such good acting. And you know what? It's a film it's just one of those films that you can't see being remade because if someone did remake it, you just know right away that it would not be as well because back in these days, that was something that never happened. It was a film that never happened, and it was such a big landmark at the time that there's no way to ever compete with it. So those are just some of my favorite horror films, I guess. I'll have to try out collecting some more of them by the next Halloween so I can give more shout-outs. Those are not my favorite horror films of all time. Those are just some of them. There are a lot more that I love that I really wish I owned, that so I could give them as much respect as those. So, yeah, basically, the Alien Quadrology and The Exorcist are my favorite. Halloween 3, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, all fantastic films. So, this has been Jake of J&J Retro Gaming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Happy Halloween.